to talk a bit more about the geopolitics of this war. Kethevane Gorjestani, our foreign editor, is with me. And Kethevane, as I mentioned earlier, there are growing public tensions now between the White House and the Netanyahu government. This after Biden used the word indiscriminate to describe Israeli attacks on Gaza. Tell us a bit more.
Well, the word that you used is the most important, public comments about that show this rift, because there have been tensions for weeks now between the two administrations, but they've really been kept behind closed doors, if you will. And now you've seen this escalation with Joe Biden's comments that he made at a campaign event, and he was talking about the fact that Israel still enjoys support in much of the world, but he said they are starting to lose that support by the indiscriminate bombing that is taking place. And those comments were really the most public criticism made by the U.S. president towards Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. He had some harsh words for that government, too. He said that some people in that government really did not want to have anything to do with a possible two-state solution, and that in itself was a problem. He did reiterate that the U.S. was standing firm behind Israel, that its commitment to Israel was unshakable, but you're seeing more and more these statements criticizing the way Israel is behaving in Gaza, the way it's carrying these military operations, and you're seeing increasingly comments by the Israelis responding to these attacks. For example, Benjamin Netanyahu rejected some of the plans or the ideas that the U.S. has put forward for what happens once the war is over, once Israel beats Hamas when it comes to, for example, the role of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza. Netanyahu saying, "I will not allow Israel to repeat the mistake of Oslo," referring to the Oslo Accords that were the origin, really, of that power of the Palestinian Authority. So he rejected that. About the support for the ongoing military operation, the foreign minister said that Israel would continue with or without international support. So you're seeing really this tit for tat between the leadership of the two countries. And now you're going to see Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, traveling to Israel. And there are reports that he is going to push for the opening of another border crossing and possibly to push for the military operations to be wrapped in just a few weeks.
And Kethevane, we do talk a lot about the US-Israeli relationship because clearly the US is Israel's most important ally. But I'm interested in what you think of other important players on the world stage, like the European Union, for example. How would you analyze how much support Israel has in European capitals right now?
Well, this latest UN vote showed one thing, is that support within the European Union is waning. Because if you look at the results, among the European Union members, 2 voted against, Austria and the Czech Republic, 8 abstained, including, for example, Germany and Hungary, and 17 members voted in favor of that ceasefire. Last time, 15 members had voted to abstain, and only 8 had voted in favor. So you're seeing a little bit of a shift there among European Union members. But the EU really is deeply divided, and that is why it is hard to hear a sort of united voice and sort of decipher an official position of the European Union when it comes to what is happening in Gaza. And those deep divisions are based in part by history. You have, for example, Germany, Austria, for obvious historical reason, who are firmly behind Israel, but also countries like Ireland, who, for their own historical reason, have a sort of kinship with the plight of the Palestinians in Gaza. But you also have other countries now who are coming out in full force to, for example, the Belgians calling for the Belgian government to impose sanctions on Israel for their indiscriminate bombing in Gaza. And you also have politics at play, domestic politics at play, the right-wing populism in Europe that has a sort of kinship with the Netanyahu government. And all of that is making it hard for the European Union to have big voice on that matter and to be heard and listened to by the Israelis.